Hello, welcome back. Tactical Tuesday with Johnny Tiger on March 30th, 2021. Today I'm going to continue responding to the original video that we started talking about on the previous Survival Saturday. So if you have not seen that one, I say it's a good idea to go back and watch that one so you get an idea of what we're talking about. But the link to that original video, I will still put it in the description of this video so you guys can find it. Uh, just to quickly recap a couple of the important points. I will, let's start. Let me start off by saying that the video name is Krav Maga as useless as Aikido. Okay, so a couple of the points that I mentioned already is that I will not attempt to defend Aikido. I don't know if Aikido is useless or not. I have never trained in it. I've never fought anyone who is very proficient at it, or I've never fought anyone who used it to uh, very any kind of incredible degree. So I will not say yay or nay. I will leave that debate to someone who actually knows Aikido. I will also not be representing every individual Krav Maga branch style in the world because I have not trained with every one of them. I can only stand here and talk about my experience, my knowledge, which is from Krav Maga Force, Commando Krav Maga, and Tactical Personal Protection Program. Um, a little bit of background. I started training in Krav Maga with Krav Maga Force, back then still under the banner of Commando Krav Maga, back in 2011. And I am now an instructor for up to level 2 civilian level 2 Krav Maga. So to respond to the video today, I first want to establish that Krav Maga it's not a martial art. We actually talked about this point last episode, but I feel that we are going to touch upon this more and more today and maybe in the next episode. So I want to again reiterate that Krav Maga is not a martial art. In fact, even on Wikipedia, if you go and look up Krav Maga on Wikipedia, it says it is a military fighting self-defense system made for the Israeli Defense Force and Israeli Security Force. And right now, it's being taught to many different parts of the world, to uh, military and people in the private sectors and people in the law enforcement division. And of course, the reason we are here now talking about this, debating about this, is that it has also trickled into civilian life. For you and I can practice that. But no matter what, in the end, it's inescapable, and we need to always keep that in our mind. It is not a martial art. Very little art about Krav Maga. Krav Maga is about how to survive in a conflict, which means if you can run away, you run away. Which means if you don't have to fight, you don't fight. And which means if you have to fight, then you do anything to survive that fight, to end that fight as quickly as you can. So uh, to put it in layman's term, we specialize in dirty fighting. That's what is one of the essentials in Krav Maga. I believe it was in either South Park or Simpson uh, episode where some Krav Maga character said, "No groin shot, no Krav Maga," and that is very true where Krav Maga is concerned. So I want to try to re, I want to try to respond to address three things that bugs me about the video, is Krav Maga is useless as Aikido today. Um, Point number one, the first thing, the biggest thing that bugs me about that video is the use of the word useless. Because useless to who? Who are we talking about? Useless to people? Is it a useless fighting style? Is it useless to people who want to get fit? Is it useless to people who want to learn how to fight in the ring? What are we talking about here? Because when you say something is useless, it immediately casts a very bad light upon that system. And if I got to tell you, standing here and say that the Krav Maga is definitely not a useless fighting system, it's not a useless self-defense system, how can I say that without even getting into the bias category? Because I am a Krav Maga guy. I'm not going to say I spent the last 10 years doing something that is useless. But even without treading on on the bias uh, place, if it is so useless, then Israeli Defense Force, Israeli Security Force wouldn't have been using it for all these years. It has been used by many military units, military personnel since 1940s. 1940. So if we rewind time, if we look back, what was happening? 1940 war, one of the biggest war in modern history. The Krav Maga was invented, was created by its founder to help protect civilians against people who were armed and more uh, fit, more healthy, stronger, in greater number. And then it was exclusively used by Israeli Defense Force and Security Force in Israel, one of the more deadly places in the world where terrorism, kidnapping, shooting, stabbing, mobbing happen almost on a daily basis. So you can't tell me that a system created during war and used for counterterrorism purposes. And then people around the world, like many countries and governments, were hiring, flying these experts in from Israel to teach their police officers, to teach their SWAT teams, to teach their military personnel this thing called Krav Maga. You can't tell me that that is useless, because to say that it is useless when all the evidence point to the contrary is pure folly. Now, where Krav Maga is useless is when you expect it to do things that it was not meant to do, which is to go fight a judo guy, or to go fight a karate guy, or to go fight a boxing guy, or to go fight in an MMA match. That is not what Krav Maga is for. Because if you want to go by that logic, if people want to say Krav Maga is useless because you get Krav Maga guy in the ring against a Jiu-Jitsu guy, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy or MMA guy, and the Krav Maga guy will lose. Well, that would be equivalent. That would be equal to saying that soldiers and policemen are useless because you put them in that same setting, they lose too, at least most of them. Uh, at our gym, we have many times seen people come in to train, people from the army, reserve, people from police force. We have firefighters, security, personnel from the airport. They come in and train with us, and then you put them into a sparring situation against someone who's doing Muay Thai or kickboxing or boxing. These people generally get their butts kicked. But does that mean that they're not good at their job? Does that mean that they're useless? No. All that means is it's not what they're trained to do. They're not trained to fight on that kind of ground in that kind of setting. Because if you take a Krav Maga guy and put him in the back alley against most of your taekwondo guy, karate guy, Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, whatever. Okay? And then each one of them is allowed to do whatever they wish. Each one of them is allowed any weapon they wish. I will almost guarantee you that, of course, we're talking about like real Krav Maga people, not one of these pseudo fake Krav Maga systems that is so commonplace today. We did address that last video, that there is a lack of, there's very sad lack of standard in civilian Krav Maga nowadays. But if you put a real Krav Maga guy from a military Krav Maga branch, a law enforcement Krav Maga branch in the back alley, and then you introduce MMA guy or Taekwondo guy or Judo guy into that back alley. Neither of them know what each other is carrying. Neither of them know what each other is going to do. They don't have to fight by any rule. I will almost guarantee you, like 8 out of 10, the Krav Maga guy is going to be the one that end up going home without getting hurt really bad. Because that's what we're trained to do. We are trained to not stand there to fight in a competition. We're trained not to linger in a fight to prove who's the better fighter. We admit we are not very good fighters. We just want to break your kneecap and then we go home. We just want to kick you in the groin and then poke your eye out and then hit you in the throat and bash your ears in, grab your head, slam it onto the ground, dash your brain out, and then we go home. Okay, that's the kind of thing that Krav Maga is for. So saying that Krav Maga is useless because it's not good in a cage fight, ring fight, or sparring, or that kind of setting, it would be equal to saying that a screwdriver is a useless tool because you can't use it to drive nails into the wall. It's not what it's designed to do. Uh, you got to judge something by its intended uses. Okay, if this screwdriver is not good for putting screws into the wall, then okay, it's a lousy screwdriver. It's useless. But if this screwdriver can do what it's made to do, but it can't be used to dice and chop a piece of steak, or it can't be used to drive nails into the wall, well, that's not the screwdriver that's useless. That's the person making that decision that's being ridiculous. So I do have very big issue with the use of the word useless here, because it's definitely not a useless fighting system, no matter which way you slice it. Of course, now if you take uh, one of the fake Krav Maga system, one of the low grading Krav Maga system, then yeah, that make it look like a useless system. But that applies to any martial art. Just look at how many McDojos there are out there for Taekwondo and Karate. How many black belts? How many black belt judoka? How many black belt karate fighter? How many black belt Taekwondo fighter go out there and then get totally trashed in a bar fight by someone who's never trained in their life? But does that mean that those arts are useless? No. It just means that the people that try to use them uh, mismanage their skill. So yeah, that is my first biggest contention to the video. Is the word useless. My second point I want to talk about today, which I have problem with the video, is Krav Maga as useless as Aikido, is that the research method the gentleman employed in reaching that conclusion was faulty. If you look at his video, what did he do? Actually, he talked to a couple of Krav Maga guys, and some of them, I'm sure, are expert in their own field. and he talked to a formal, former Krav Maga guy who left Krav Maga because of his own reasons. And he watched a whole bunch of sparring videos and that kind of videos and different kind of training videos. Now, next episode, I will uh, talk exclusively on the videos because that is a very big thing that we need to address. So that's going to deserve an episode on its own. But I just want to say that if your understanding of Krav Maga, if it, you want to say it's useless or not, is by talking to a guy who left the system uh, and then watch a lot of videos, then it's a very faulty, it's a very questionable kind of research. Because if you really want to, then you need to talk to people who are doing legit Krav Maga right now, who are in military or law enforcement. In other words, people who actually use this for their work, people who actually use this to keep themselves alive, to keep other people alive. You need to talk to these people and then put yourself in a legit Krav Maga program for maybe 6 months. And then you can tell me if you still think it is useless. Videos, very, very deceiving. I'm not going to go into that too much today. I want to save that topic for the next week. But I'm just going to say that today that watching video is not a good indication. Watching training video, sparring video, competition video is not a good indication of what an art can do, what a style can do, what people can do. Because if I go on the internet and start looking for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu videos, very quickly I will come to the conclusion Brazilian Jiu Jitsu guys are only dangerous on the ground. They don't really know how to do anything on their feet. They don't know how to strike. So if I want to fight a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu guy, all I have to do is know how to hit hard. And that's it. And that would be a grave mistake on my part. Okay? That would be a great mistake on my part because there are a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu people out there who cross-train, who incorporate other things into their training, and who are excellent strikers. If I just go by videos, then I'm going to say, Taekwondo guys, all they know is how to kick. They don't know how to block. They don't know how to do this or that. So if I want to fight a Taekwondo guy, no problem. I just get nice and close and punch them in the face a few times, and I will win. Again, that would be a grave mistake because there are a lot of expert Taekwondo fighters out there who already thought of these weaknesses in their style and they know how to compensate for things like that. Not to mention, on video, it is hard to appreciate just how precise and how powerful some Taekwondo fighters' kicks can be. So if you just go by videos you find on YouTube, your view, your understanding is very, very, very limited. Uh, and if you only talk to people who already left the system, obviously they left the system because they didn't like it. And let me address that quickly. The gentleman that was interviewed, the guy that left Krav Maga, he said so himself. He said from a fighter background, he's from a fighting background, and he expected results when he trained. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. I totally can emphasize from what he said. I'm not going to say he's wrong, okay? But Krav Maga is not made so you can go have a fighting career. Krav Maga is not made so you can go fight a kickboxing guy. So, coming from this person's point of view, from a fighter's background, then Krav Maga is problematic because it doesn't train him, doesn't help him do what he likes to do, what he wants to do. So I totally understand why he left Krav Maga, but just because it's useless for what he wanted to do, that does not mean it is useless. So again, um, I think the whole research methodology in this case is flawed, and there are a lot of steps that should have been uh, followed or observed to reach a much more uh, favorable or much more logical conclusion. Uh, Talk to people who use Krav Maga in their daily life or in their job. Talk to people who actually train with a proper Krav Maga system and actually go experience the proper Krav Maga system yourself. Only by doing that will you reach a more uh, reasonable, more less one-sided, shall we say, more neutral kind of conclusion. The third point, the last point I'm going to address today is a gentleman in the video is Krav Maga is useless as Aikido mentioned that he watched video footages of Krav Maga guys sparring and it just looked like bad boxing or kickboxing or Thai boxing or MMA. There's nothing Krav Maga to it. Okay, it's right, right? He's right because because Krav Maga first again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Not a martial art. We don't have a whole slew of techniques for you to pummel each other with. Our technique usually is kicking the groin, gouging the eye, bash the throat, clap the ear, okay? Slam the head into the floor, break the arm over our leg, right? Knee into the kidney, elbow into the temple, punch to the back of the neck, break the spine, whatever. It's not the kind of thing that you want to use in sparring. Okay, so if you want to, if you were to set up a sparring session, and you say, guys, okay, let's not use any of that MMA stuff. Let's just stick to Krav Maga technique. That is going to turn into a one-touch contest. What do I mean by one-touch contest? It's going to be a contest where the first person who land the technique is going to win. Right? And a lot of people won't want to spar like that because getting nailed by these techniques is going to hurt a lot. Not to mention it's dangerous. Okay? But some people are going to say, well, that's not right because if you do it, if you know what you're doing, you should be able to do it without seriously injuring the person. Not quite true. Take a growing shot, for example. Take a growing shot, for example. If I swing my hand into the person's groin nice and light, pow, in a sparring setting, all that does is piss the person off. Okay, that doesn't register as, oh, I just got nailed in the groin, I lost. And I have done this a lot of time. When I'm sparring, sometimes I will enter into the person's range, step to the side, and gently tap the person's throat. That's my signal to you. I could have hurt you really, really bad, but I choose not to. You want to guess how often people register that? Almost never. Almost never. Every single time I do something like that, people just shrug it off and don't even think about it. So if I really want my Krav Maga technique to register, that means when I go for the groin, it has to be pow, you know, kick the groin so hard that it will send the person to the hospital, which actually happened before during my first combat exam. One of the guy who I was defending myself against came up and tried to wrestle me to the ground, and I did a knee to the groin. I was trying to be nice at first. I did it 20%, and it didn't register. He continued to try to pull me down. So I was left with no choice but bring my knee into the groin, like 100% of my force, lifted him off the ground and actually cracked his groin cup and sent him to the hospital. I felt really bad about that afterwards. But this is one of the many examples why we can't have a sparring session just using Krav Maga stuff because it's going to have that kind of result. Let's say we are sparring using Krav Maga rules. I we are doing our thing, then I go in, tap you on the throat. Well, if you don't register that, if you don't respect that as me just won the match, then I have no choice but to go in, pow, into the throat, either sending you to the hospital or kill you, and then I have to go to the police station. Okay, so this is why in Krav Maga we don't spar using Krav Maga looking thing. Also, when we spar, our goal is not testing out our Krav Maga technique. It's not. Uh, I'm going to come back to this point in a little bit. But when we are sparring, what we are actually doing is first having fun. Second, testing each other to see if you can actually take a kick, take a punch. If you can get punched upside the head and kick in the leg without crumpling, we're conditioning each other. And we're also taking this chance to play with other techniques from other styles. So when we are sparring, we are not here to prove our Krav Maga techniques work or not. When we are sparring, we are playing. When we're sparring, we are working out. We're conditioning. That's all we are doing. We are not worrying about if that punch is perfect. We don't worry about if that kick was perfect. We just worry about it. Kick me in the stomach. Can I take it? Okay, cool. Not I can take it. Now I'm going to punch you in the face. Can you take it? Oh, nice, nice. You can take it. That's cool. So it looked like bad boxing, bad MMA. Sure, of course. And when you really think about it, Krav Maga is a system that derived from a combination of boxing and wrestling. So of course it's going to look like MMA. Uh, I'll even admit most of the striking and grappling and stuff like that you see in Krav Maga are from other disciplines because again, it's not a martial art. It has very few techniques of its own. It's a fighting system, self-defense system, which borrow heavily from Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, kickboxing, and in our current uh, curriculum, we also borrow heavily from Wing Chun. So on the video, uh, on a sparring video, it's just not going. You're not going to see Krav Maga techniques. Those things don't spar very good. Those things are dangerous. You do it too light, they don't work at all. You do it hard. You do it hard, then no one wants to spar anymore. Now, let me go back and also address. Okay, so people say, well, but uh, you can't know if your technique work if you don't spar with them, if you don't work under pressure, and that is very, very true. So if you want to see real Krav Maga technique being put to the test, then I suggest you do a quick YouTube search for Krav Maga felt pen combat drill, felt pen, knife drill, or Krav Maga electrified knife, or that knife combat drill. And what these are is in the felt pen combat drill, you have a attacker, you have a killer, a psycho serial killer, armed with something like this, a fountain pen or a felt pen. This acts as a knife, and that person is going to rush you and start stabbing, swinging, stabbing, stabbing. Okay, no technique, no reason or rhyme. They're just going to keep stabbing until the round is over. And it is your goal to first not get stabbed, second to defend yourself, either disarm or knock him down, or take the knife, in this case the pen, away from him. And at the end of the round, you will turn around so the whole class can see how many marks you have on your shirt. Oh, you got stabbed over the heart. Okay, you totally messed up. You died during that round. You only got stabbed on the outside of your arm. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. You survived. So that's good. That is where you see some real Krav Maga stuff at work, or in some cases don't work. Now, some people say, well, that's stupid because getting stabbed by a pen, no big deal. If you really think that, then give a pen or a felt pen to your friends and tell them to go to town on you. Believe me, sometimes it hurt like crazy. Sometimes, especially when the attackers get carried away and they're stabbing almost full force at your torso, at your leg, at your arm, sometimes coming close to your face, scaring the crap out of you. So yeah, felt pen, fountain pen, knife drills. You want to see Krav Maga stuff? Look for that. But that knife, even better. That is kind of a new age thing. Some Krav Maga group, they get these training knives that have electrified blades. They're not like taser or anything like that, but anytime the blade touches you, it zaps the heck out of you and it hurts a lot. Right? So this add another dimension of realism during your sparring, during your training, your drill. So training against someone with armed with an electrified or zap knife is a totally different feel, different mindset altogether. And if you want to see real Krav Maga techniques, look at those. Look at those. Okay? Because that's when you see the Krav Maga mentality at work. If you want to see Krav Maga technique really at work, look up videos for Krav Maga hostage rescue video, Krav Maga bodyguard drill video, and you will see where Krav Maga techniques really come into play. And it's not going to look anything like MMA or kickboxing, or any of that. Okay. Uh, Next video, actually not next video, but Survival Saturday, we're going to come back and I'm going to address one of the biggest issue with Krav Maga related videos and demonstration, and it's going to be hopefully a very eye-opening, interesting topic. For now, thanks for checking out today's Tactical Tuesday. For now, have a good night. I'll see you again tomorrow in Wisdom Wednesday.